On top of police, he's frying.
I'm getting aim assist through this wall right here. There's one in there still by ladder. He's peeking. What is going on, YouTube? Today we got an interesting topic that is bound to get people fired up. After a bunch of back and forth and some recent tweets between big content creators that include the likes of Tim the Tapman, Dr. Disrespect, Myth, Scumpy, you name it, as to which input method is best, mouse and key or controller, I decided to do a little digging and do a little science experiment of my own. Being a mouse and keyboard player, I went out and bought myself a controller, which I had been talking about for a few months now with the chat, with the community, and decided, man, this is the perfect time for me to go out and do that. We're going to be going over some pros and cons of both controller and mouse and key. We're going to be going over some numbers, and I'll give you guys my opinion as to which I think is best as it pertains to the game we all know and love, Call of Duty and Warzone. Let's get into it. We will be playing some of the gameplay in the background while we go over these talking points. So let's get started with the pros and cons of mouse and keyboard. Pro number one is something I like to call dynamic sensitivity. So what dynamic sensitivity is even if you have a low DPI or a low in-game sense, the faster you move your mouse, the faster the crosshair or your iron sight will actually move. Most players set their sensitivity fairly low for better tracking, but having the ability to speed all that up is a big pro for mouse and keyboard. Pro number two kind of goes along with the first one, is just the ability to switch between targets and the speed that you can do that at. I'm sure most of you guys have seen it in action. Probably had you sticking around wondering if you should report the guy or not, because some of the kill cams do look kind of crazy, depending on how good the player is at hitting flick shots. Another pro for mouse and keyboard is going to be the recoil control and accuracy you can have downrange. Granted, this game does have very low recoil for most of its guns, if not all of them. So considering that, this really kind of takes it over the top. Another pro for mouse and keyboard is going to be the keybinds and not having any action share a button. I mean, you could really optimize your keybinds to where you're not having to reach too far with any of your fingers and everything is real close and you can get to doing what you want to do fairly quick. Here are some of the cons. No aim assist. Everything you do on the mouse, that's all you, baby. There's no assist, no nothing, which in turn makes tracking in close quarters gunfights fairly difficult. I spent a lot of time in Kovac's aim trainer trying to improve and find consistency in my close quarters combat. And to be honest, I still Papega aim here and there, costing me games, costing me lives, costing me gunfights. I feel like it's just the nature of the game when it comes to playing mouse and keyboard. Another con is driving the vehicles. Maybe not the cars, but definitely the helicopter. If you've ever played on a mouse and keyboard, you know that there's about 11 buttons. Flares, up, down, WASD. I just prefer not to. This next con isn't huge, but it's definitely something I noticed in between the two input methods. And on mouse and keyboard, movement feels a lot more linear than it does on controller. I feel like it has something to do with only having four keys to move: forwards, backs, left, and right, WASD. Yes, you can still be cracked at movement on mouse and keyboard, but it's definitely not as good as on controller. And those are just kind of my thoughts on mouse and keyboard. Now we move on to controller. Here are some of the pros. We're going to start it off with the movement. And in all honesty, it just feels more dynamic. All the angles you can take when you challenge somebody, whether you're sliding or b-hopping, they're just better, man. They really are just better. The way the stick works on a controller and having that 360-degree rotation, it just gives you more options. I noticed my movement felt more cracked, for lack of better terms, almost instantly as soon as I figured out how to slide cancel and b-hop, of course. I will add, having paddles is a game changer on a controller. To be honest, I don't know if I would enjoy playing controller as much without them. If you don't have them, I would definitely consider it. Another pro is going to be ease of use. Just plain and simple, easier to learn, man. I'm not going to lie to you. Everybody's played on a controller at one point or another in their life, so people are just more used to it. To be honest, it's just easier to learn, more consumer friendly. And last but not least, and everybody please relax. Please relax. Aim assist. Aim assist, aim assist, aim assist. I'm not going to say aim assist is broken. I do feel controller kind of needs it if you're going to play cross platform and compete against mouse and keyboard players. But as you saw in the couple clips in the intro, sometimes aim assist can feel pretty freaking strong. And coming from a place where there's no aim assist to having honestly, it blew my mind a little bit, right? I was getting aim assist through a wall on a guy I couldn't see. And then the clip where the guy is jumping, I mean, I tracked that guy perfectly, and that was literally on day one on controller, which is something that on mouse and keyboard actually took me a few weeks, maybe even longer, to start really tracking players up close like that. Aim assist is a huge plus. Here are going to be some of the cons as well. Controller is not necessarily perfect. Here we go. So recoil control and accuracy at range is probably the most glaring one, especially at first. I did start getting better at it over time, but at first, oh boy, it was weird. It was super weird. For whatever reason, I felt like I needed to pull on the stick too much, and I was having an issue with that. But once I kind of got my settings dialed in to the point where I was shooting people out of cars, shooting people out of the air, without a problem, that could always be fixed over time. But nonetheless, still, it's a con. Another con is the amount of actions that share buttons. The amount of times I accidentally picked up a gun trying to reload or canceled putting on my plates. I'm not going to say it's game breaking, but it's definitely annoying. I know over time you kind of get used to the buttons, so that won't be an issue in the future, but for now, definitely a con for me. Probably the biggest con is going to be the sensitivity. Like I was saying about dynamic sensitivity for mouse and keyboard, this unfortunately goes a complete other direction. You're basically stuck with whatever sensitivity you choose to put on your stick. Yeah, you do have like the aim assist response curve or whatever, where it's like standard, linear, or dynamic, which kind of makes it feel different when you're moving your crosshair around. But at the end of the day, you cannot go faster no matter what. I mean, yeah, sure, you could play on 20 cents, but that is just crazy. Now we're heading into the numbers, right? This is where it kind of starts getting interesting. Day number one, I only played a few BR games. I spent most of the time honestly messing with my settings, also doing like custom game and multiplayer against bots and just kind of moving around, learning the slide cancel, all of that stuff. But I did play a couple BR games, and my KD for the first day was 0.95, which is not too bad, to be honest. I know a lot of people have like 0.6 KD, blah, blah, blah. Not a big deal. Don't really care about it. But for this video, we want to look at the numbers and we want to kind of see the progression and all that. Day number two, I definitely played a lot more BR games. I did warm up, did do the custom game with the bots to try to warm up my aim and get a better feel for the buttons. So my KD for day number two was 0.77 on the day. Definitely took a little dip, but I did play more games. So, I mean, it was bound to happen if you ask me. Day number three is honestly where stuff started getting interesting. So I definitely made some improvements in my movement. Also got my buddy and he helped me lock in my settings. The shot started feeling a lot better. KD went up 1.08. Day three, boom, in the books. Day four, more drastic improvements. My KD was actually 1.38 on this day. My lifetime KD on mouse and keyboard is actually 1.33. So seeing this number, I was like, oh, heck yeah. 4 days in, we're vibing. Day five, I was starting to feel way more confident in my shot, but the KD did take a dip to 1.18. Not a huge deal, but still, we regressed a bit, right? Day number 6, oh boy, here we go. Sheesh. On this day, I was feeling myself. Played a lot of games on this day and dropped some heaters. KD for the day was actually 2.58, which is the best I played on controller. Last and final day, the KD did come back down to earth a little bit, but I was still sitting at a 1.53, which to me, personally, those are some pretty good gains. I know it was only 7 days. My game started feeling a lot better, and the fact that I was putting numbers higher than what my lifetime KD average is on mouse and keyboard, which I've put years into, was actually surprising to see. I honestly wasn't expecting it. I was challenging myself. I was trying to figure it all out, and it was kind of crazy to see and honestly to feel the way it was feeling while I was running around Verdansk. And like I was saying earlier, I do have a 1.33 lifetime KD on mouse and keyboard, and being able to play to that level and above was really surprising to me. Now, as to what I think the better input method is when it comes to Call of Duty and Warzone, it's tough, man. It's tough. But I'm honestly going to have to say probably controller. I think controller is the better input method for this game. For this game, right? Key. Those words are very key. I actually did some research and looked up like the highest earners as far as like Warzone, and honestly, I wasn't very surprised after playing on controller for that week. I wasn't very surprised to see that 17 of the top 20 most winningest players in Warzone were all controller players. Aiden, Swag, Tommy, Super Evan, Biffle, just to name a few, Joe Woe. Just a lot of controller players up at the tippity top. Again, this is my personal opinion. Going forward, I will be playing on controller a lot more on Call of Duty. And let me know in the comments what your guys' thoughts are on the whole controller versus mouse and keyboard argument. Let me know if you learned something today or if this video helped you out in any kind of way. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out with the YouTube algorithm. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.